No, in the beginning I just thought that this is what relationships are. Like relationships are fucked and everybody's fucked. That's how it is. And then when I saw that there's two people who have a really happy relationship, I was like, how? Like, you know, it doesn't make any sense, you know?
Yeah, welcome guys to the Game Changer podcast of Max Planner. This time I will not talk to you in German, as you know I would do it all the time. This time I talk to you in English, so it's a different task for you guys to listen to my English episode today, because I have a guest who also speaks some very good English. So
and not very good German.
and the German is not the best yet, though he lives in Berlin, so he will also learn to speak some German. But yeah, anyway, I have a guest here. I have a nice guest episode. We will dive into very, very deep topics today. I really like it. I really liked our conversation we had before the recording. It's going to be an amazing podcast today. So yeah, first of all, welcome Ari J. Cohen.
Thank you very much, Max. I'm
Good to have you here.
Thank you. I'm really, really happy to be here. Thank you for coming and having the podcast in my home studio.
Exactly. Also, thanks for the invitation to your home studio.
AKA my living room.
Yeah, it's always good if you can improvise, right?
Totally.
Before we dive into who you are, or maybe it's a very good idea to dive into who you are by telling your name on Instagram, which is Lift Heavy, Grow Beards. So what is this about, and what does this show about you and your personality?
So I think the people who see this on video, it's obvious.
True.
The people who hear this on audio, I have a very long beard. And essentially, I started the name when I was, because I started as a strength coach. And originally I started with this name as a strength coach. So basically I was lifting heavy and I had a beard. But later it got like a more profound meaning, because now I do more masculinity, dating and relationship coaching for men. And this name became more about embodying health. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I think that every man should do is lift heavy shit. I think it's very, very important. It doesn't have to be barbells. It can be anything. It can be kettlebells. It can be rocks. It can be stones. Anything that you want to lift. I think it's very, very important for a lot of masculine features and a lot of health. Basically, it's one of the healthiest things that you can do. And growing a beard is a passion of mine since I was young.
Awesome.
So ever since I could grow it, I've grown it, and I don't think I took it off since I could grow a significant full beard. So.
Awesome. Yeah, we have a lot of things in common. The people who know me also from my rowing career. This time my beard is a little bit shorter, but I also, when I was a rower, I was also known for my long beard.
Oh, it used to be long?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
There was also always a commentator who said, Max Planner, backboard cap and a long beard. So I was really known for it. So yeah, really nice to have that in common with you. And yeah, but we are already into the topic now. So already deep into that, what we want to talk about today. So we want to talk a lot about men. So Ari, as you told, he's a relationship coach for men. Helps not only men for dating women, but also to have a very fulfilled relationship with their woman. And this is also something which also drives me. You know, guys, that I'm together with Christina for more than 5 years, and we work on our relationship a lot. Outside, it always looks shiny and cool, and everybody say, "Oh, you have such an easy and cool relationship," but nobody sees what's behind it. And it's very cool to talk also about the stuff what's behind the fulfilled relationship, and to talk with someone who's who's coaching that topic and very deep into it. So very cool to have you here.
yeah, thank you. I'm very excited to talk about it.
Awesome. So you already talked a little bit more about yourself, but maybe explain a little bit more where you're from, what you're doing right now, and how did you come to what you're doing right now? Because I know from my perspective, I'm doing what I do right now because, of course, I had some challenges in my life. I did some very big challenges and some setbacks, and I was like down and have to fight myself back to find solutions of developing stuff. And now I can teach that to other people, and I'm 100% sure also that's how I got to know you, that you're the same. Like you coach stuff that you learned you in your own way. So tell maybe some little stories about yourself.
Okay, sure. So first of all, dating and relationship coaching and masculinity coaching, I got to this thing by accident. I think that not saying that I'm a great person, but every great person had a calling rather than just, I don't know, not calling.
Not choosing it.
I mean, it started for me, I knew I wanted to be a coach since I started lifting weights. I started lifting weights when I was 21. I was fresh out of the army, and I just wanted to basically look better. I wasn't in a very high conscious state at the time. And a year in, I already knew that I wanted to be a coach because I kind of had this calling towards helping people. And that's where I became a strength and conditioning coach. And I did that for a long, long time.
So you like in the gym, help people lift weights, help people to become stronger, to become more athletic.
It started at the gym, and I also coached some pro football teams, and some pro athletes. I coached some fighters, some BJJ fighters. I had baseball players. So that, and I also had soccer moms who wants to get healthy. So I was coaching the plethora of people, and when I was coaching them, I always saw strength and conditioning and nutrition, because I'm also a nutrition coach, as a vessel for a happier life. Because I always said, okay, if you want to have a good psychology, have a good physiology, and I help you to get good physiology. And at the same time, I was kind of trying to sneak in my little life lessons that I learned from my life. And the whole dating and relationship thing, I learned it for myself. Because not in order to teach it, I just learned it because I sucked at relationships, and I had terrible relationships in the past. I grew up in a very violent home. My dad was very violent. My mom was violent. They got divorced when I was 10, and I never saw a good model of a healthy masculine man or a model of relationships. So the entire idea of what I had of what is a relationship like was completely effed up.
And with that, you're not the only person. A lot of people outside there.
That is what I realized later.
Exactly. But then the first thing you think you're the only one, right?
No, in the beginning I just thought that this is what relationships are. Relationships are fucked and everybody's fucked. That's how it is. And then when I saw that there's two people who have a really happy relationship, I was like, how? It doesn't make any sense, And what happened was that just about a couple of years back, I was just doing my own thing, still coaching strength conditioning. And I have a friend who's also a coach. He's a really good friend of mine, one of the smartest people I know. He is so smart. Honestly, he was a big mentor of mine at some point. He still is a big mentor of mine at some point. And he is just so good at what he does. But at relationships, not so much. And I remember talking to him friend to friend, and I was like, dude, I learned all of this stuff from me, and that allowed me to meet my fiance right now, and we're getting married soon, and it's the most beautiful relationship I've ever had. And I told him, hey man, let me just help you, let me just tell you what I know and just apply it. And he was like, okay, you know what, fuck it, let's do it. And I told him some stuff, and he was trying it out, really coming with an open mind. And he was he came to me 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, dude, what the hell? This is amazing. This thing actually works. And I told him, yeah, I know. And then I started coaching him more and more and more into this thing. And not only did it completely transcended his dating life, which he got to the point from dating women who are, not very attractive, not very intelligent, not very interesting, to dating these really high-end women, women who are smart, intelligent, beautiful, and that these women are chasing him, and that kind of got him to this place where he kind of leveraged that success into his relationships, into his business. Sorry, the doorbell here. Anyway, he leveraged that into his business, and then his business grew. And now he's like a super active coach. He's coaching one of the best athletes, and is some of the best athletes in Israel, where we're from. And the thinking was like, he told me like, hey man, like, if you could do that for me, you should do that for everybody, you know? And I thought in the beginning, like, no, I'm good with my strength conditioning. I'm good with helping people just getting stronger, blah, blah, blah. And then I kind of realized at some point that everything that I do is like, I'm kind of like backdooring this life coaching, relationship stuff to them, because there's so many people out there who have no fucking clue, especially men, how to handle their emotions and how to express their emotions. And we can talk about it a bit later. Like we can.
That's very important.
Yeah. We can talk about why.
Yeah.
But mostly, it's like this. There's this kind of cognitive dissonance with men, that they don't know how to express their emotions or their feelings with their women.
Yeah.
And that caused them to be so unhappy.
Yeah.
So unhappy.
Yeah.
And just realize that there's this huge need for what it is that I do. And let's face it, today, every half-bit influencer is a strength and conditioning coach. And not many people are really going into this relationship coaching niche in a very healthy way. You either have the spiritual woohoos, or you have the hardcore pickup artists.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who are both kind of like missing the point, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I thought that there has to be some sort of balance that is struck there. You know, there's some spirituality and some practicality. And this is how I go.
This is also something we have in common, because the same path I'm on right now, also with what I do, like the high performance coaching. It's also a lot with relationships, by the way. So you always have the people who say, oh, you only have to perform to become very successful, but lack the rest. And then you have the people who talk only about meditation and yoga, but of course also have no drive to really achieve some goals, and also to really get to a point where they can actually really help some people. Because once you figured out, okay, wow, meditation helped me so much, now I only have to tell others that it helped me. No, that's not how it works. Because you have to have some drive also to do that, and you have to really get into it. And so that's why I'm a really big fan of not only to have it in balance, but to have both sides of it, and to bring it together, and bring it together that for example, high performers, for example, also people who come to you say, yeah, I'm not good in dating, I want to learn it, and you say, oh yeah, but then you would have to start meditating, and you really have to come this and that, and people are like, oh, I don't want to do that, please go away. You know, you have to massage it in a little bit, but that's the thing. So yeah, we are into the topic right now. Let's stay there, because it's awesome to talk about it. First of all, when we talk about why it's such a big struggle for men to open themselves up, emotionally, and also just talk about their fears and stuff to women, and also to other men, basically. First of all, in your opinion, where does it come from? And also, what's the point you think we can help men where they are? Like where they say, okay, for example, if you have a problem with this or that, the person would never say, oh yeah, I have this problem. You know, the person thinks it has a completely different problem.
Right.
And nobody would say, oh yeah, I'm really not good in, I don't know, showing my emotions. I'm just a very rational guy. You know what I mean? So how did you find out for yourself to get people motivated to open up? Maybe let's say it that way.
Okay, so let's start with where the problem starts.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a big believer of Jungian archetypes. And Jungian archetypes, if we really simplify it, it's patterns of behavior that humans have been watching for generations and generations and generations from the dawn of mankind, and have been documenting them into stories and into culture.
Yeah.
And we know these archetypes when we see them in movies or for example, or in books. We all know them. The hero archetype. Classic example, why do we all feel good when the hero defeats the dragon and gets the girl? Because it's kind of like an archetype that we see in ourselves as the person who is overcoming difficulty, i.e. the pain inside, and kind of like wins the girl or wins the treasure, which is the the good feeling of getting of improving yourself spiritually, right? So I think that the society and culture kind of projects a lot of stuff at us, and with men there is this double standard where up until 30 years ago there was this kind of traditional masculine archetype, right? If you think about the classic one is James Bond, right? So how a man should be, people would think James Bond, right? He's daring, he's kick-ass, he's dangerous, he's also funny, he's he's good with the ladies, This is like the classic masculine, kind of like what every man wanted to be, James Bond. And then in the past 30 years, with the whole wokeism that started to come in, and feminism, and by the way, I'm not bashing feminism at all, but the later generations, but the original feminist movement was amazing. And then people started saying, hey, maybe men should not be like that. Maybe men should be, more submissive. Maybe men should be more careful. Maybe men should be more sensitive.
More soft and
Correct, more soft. Yeah. And I'm not saying that there's no merit to that, because if you look at stuff like the Me Too movement, it created something very, very positive around how women should feel around men, and gave women this place where they can, have a voice in society, and not just being a womanizing culture that was before. But at the same time, what was created is this double standard with men, that on one hand we expect men to be tough, resilient, not talk about their feelings, and be like James Bond, and on the other hand we want men to be sensitive, docile, and and submissive. So men are kind of stuck in this place of like, I feel a certain way, but I don't understand what society expects of me. And then what they do is that they're kind of like, they're stuck in between, in this back and forth frequency between, okay, but I should be tough, but wait, I should be respectful, but wait, I should also express my emotions, but I shouldn't. And then what happens is that they come off as creepy, as weird, as insecure, and it conditions their behavior to act in a way that they don't know that is feminine. And this is a big problem that I see, a big problem that I see. And I know that it exists because I was there too, and every person that I speak to was there too.
I was there too myself.
Yeah, tell me about it, I'm curious.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about it also before the podcast. Like when I was in rowing, I was really in like, whoa, strong muscles and beard, as I said, like really like in a masculine energy. And I was always a guy who also could speak about his emotions, and also like, and I cried. It was fine. I was always like a guy who knew that, but I was living this masculine type side for myself a very long time, which was also good, of course, for me. But when I retired, I came into like a few years before I retired, I found out like, wow, I don't have to compete to feel good. I can also just be happy with myself in a way of like, I'm good enough. I don't have to beat someone other to feel good or whatever. What a lot of people in high performance, especially in sports, they need it. And I also needed it, but I came to the point for myself like, this is a race you can never win. You have to find it in yourself. Yeah. And when I came to that point, it was like a pendulum. It was from here, it went to the other side. And I was really falling into the thing like, everything peace, everything love, only have to feel, only have to surrender. And then at some point I was becoming unhappy on that side. I was like, I don't have drive anymore. I don't have energy anymore. I don't really feel like I have power. Where is my power? Like, and I was so in kind of in a trouble with high performance rowing, and really like, I don't want to do it anymore, and I want a completely different life, but I don't know which one I want. But like, it was really like that, and then like I said, I'm also not happy on that side, and what you say, I lacked this masculine side, but it was very good for me. Like afterwards, now I talked about it, I was like, it was actually very, very good for me to experience that side for myself. And now for myself, I like in a new way of finding a new balance from the pendulum, where it is like, in which way it pendles, like, you know. And now I feel like, oh, okay, I have this part, I have this side, but I also have this strong side. This also talked before the podcast a lot about discipline. We can also talk about that later. So I also had this side of discipline a lot in my life, and it really helped me to achieve goals.
Right.
And now I don't want to do that anymore. That doesn't make sense. So I have to get back to some discipline. I have to get back to achieving goals. Hi.
Yeah, this is my cat Kimchi. She's now.
Maybe she comes in the camera later. So now it's just she's just strolling around and checking what's here.
There's a bunch of new stuff here in the house, and she's wandering around. What is this? This is also, by the way, a really interesting thing that you have a cat around, that I have a cat around, which is basically also female, but she's very, very feminine in her energy. And this is something that is really interesting for me to experience, especially as someone who is doing I do a lot of masculine shit. Yeah, like I'm a competitive strongman, so I do like a lot of strength sports and lift a lot of heavy stuff and, you know, growing beards and stuff like that. and I do enjoy a lot of masculine activities, but then it's really, really nice to have this feminine side that kind of balances me out. Otherwise, I will burn out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you were talking about, I think.
Exactly, and yeah, it's really cool. It's a good mirror for you, the cat. I can guess. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So and that's how it was for me. Like I really had to look at it. You have to look at everything to integrate it. And for me, it was a very good to let go of rowing. It was really like away, and because a lot of competitive athletes, like they're kind of stuck in their former life. They're kind of like 10 years, 20 years later, they have a completely different life, but in their mind or in their heart, they are still stuck in their past life.
Yeah, the identity is still there.
Yeah, the identity is still there, exactly. And I had a hard cut also with my identity. I had a like kind of identity crisis, but now I could put the puzzles back on together in a new way. And that's why it was for me, it was good that way, even though it was like very hard, and I also was kind of depressed at some point at that time, but right now I can say it was good how it was. But I really know the feeling of like going too far in the feminine side. But how can somebody who wants to explore that, who wants to be, for example, become more emotional, because I think it's a gift to be able to feel emotions, to be able to express emotions, because first of all, it connects us to other people, it connects us in our relationship with our family, with our friends, but also if you are able to feel the emotions and let them flow through yourself, you are more in the moment, and you're more really more fulfilled in life. Because if you suppress them, you're not so fulfilled. So how can you do it? How can
you be more connected with your emotions?
Yeah, how can a man who is not so connected with their emotions open themselves up?
I think that it starts a lot with how you talk to yourself in your own head. I think I say to a lot of people, and this is something that kind of like when we met at a Tony Robbins event. Yeah. So and there's something that Tony Robbins says that I took a lot into myself as well, and that is that your values and beliefs are shaping your behaviors, and then they shape your life. And I think that a lot of men who are afraid of admitting certain emotions, or afraid to connect with their emotions, or afraid to feel, there's a certain belief that encompasses that. Mm-hmm. So I'll give an example from my life. As I said, I grew up with a very violent dad, and I learned from a very young age that being vulnerable and having emotions is weakness. Yeah. I still remember my dad towering over me when I was 6 years old, watching a movie. I watched The Lion King, and I cried when, the dad died, and Mufasa dies, and I'm 6, so I'm crying. And my dad was standing right above me, like, stop crying or I'll slap you right now, and you learn to bottle up your emotions when you have someone like that in your life. Of course. And it's not only until a very later age that I've learned that not only is it okay to express your emotions, it is a necessary tool on the way to growth. and that people around you like appreciate it. That being said, there is a difference between feeling and expressing your emotions and letting your emotions take over you.
Yeah.
In the Stoic philosophy, they say that a lot, right? And this is where a lot of guys like sometimes go on the other edge of the pendulum, like you mentioned, and they go into this hypersensitive man type vibes, you know? And this is also something that women find very, very, like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't want an emotional, anxious, timid man. You know, that's why I have my girlfriends. I already have myself for that. I don't need another person like that in my life. And for men, it's not about not feeling your emotions. It's about feeling your emotions fully, embodying them, and also understanding that, you know, in a logical way, that you can't live by your emotions. You know, that you need to live with your emotions, not without them, and not by them, but with them.
That's a very nice approach to see that. I really like it. Because they're always there. Sometimes you're in this emotional state, sometimes in that. But of course, when we talk about discipline, when you stand up in the morning, when I did rowing, 7:30 was training, 20 kilometers rowing with the crew, and you don't feel so well in the morning, you still go to training and do it. And even though, and then some days you feel really nice, and then you do it, and sometimes you do it, and you could also do some other nice things. And some days you don't feel good, and you do it anyway. And so this is, I think sometimes it's a thin line of, like, of course, also listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to your emotions, and also like having this inner voice of knowing, like, maybe I should go that way or that way. But it's a difference between, like, standing up in the morning and your inner voice tells you, oh no, just like take it easy today. And then you take it easy today. So sometimes maybe it's right, but most of the times not.
100%. And I actually think that, like, when you talk about that inner voice, and you talk about, you know, the question is not about listening to that inner voice, because that inner voice sometimes can fuck with you. And then the question is how to have a conversation with that inner voice in a way that is healthy and productive. And what I teach my guys in my programs to do is to manage that inner dialogue first, and to kind of understand how to create a healthy dialogue internally. Because what a lot of guys do in the dating community, mostly the pickup artist guys, is that they work with you from the outside in. And they tell you, okay, you're afraid of women, you don't like women, you think you're a loser, no problem. Here's a script, take that script, go talk to this woman over there. But I'm not like, just do it. And then they say that by conditioning that, doing that again and again and again, you lose the fear. Yeah, maybe you lose the fear, but you don't know why you lost the fear. And you don't know, and actually, even if you know why you lost the fear, what happens if you want to get into a relationship with that woman? No script will teach you how to do that. But in my training, I teach people how to go from the inside out. And before we even start talking to women, before we even start talking about women, we talk about ourselves. And what is it that you feel? And question your own belief system, and question what it is that you see. Recognize, question, like, develop critical thinking. What do you see around in the world? Does that make sense, or does this not make sense? You know, what is it like to be a man in the world? And it's really funny because I just started a program 2 weeks ago, and already on the second week I have people getting numbers and doing dates, and I didn't even talk to them about how to do that. That's so funny, right? All I talk to them is about their own inner mechanisms of belief, how to see them, and how to analyze them, and how to change them, and a little bit about their nutrition, and a little bit about their exercise, which are like obligatory to have if you want to have a good life and a good psychology.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Like. Yeah. When you're really able to master your inner world, the inner voice, also the emotions, look inside. Like, the world is, you have so many distractions. Our life is so complicated, like social media, media itself, you're with other people, then your job, and then you have your family, and everybody wants some little piece of you, and you're always distracted from outside. it's so important to sometimes also look on the inside, sometimes even more, even longer, to dive into your inner world and question what's going on there. Yeah. Just like question some beliefs, question some thoughts, question some perspectives you have on life. Because once you start doing that, you will figure out some really interesting stuff about yourself and start seeing life differently than before. One thing I wanted to add from our conversation a little bit earlier when you were talking about the Jungian archetypes.
Yeah.
Something maybe not everybody of you heard about already, because I for myself only dived into it a few months ago for the first time, and I read the book King, Warrior, Magician, Lover.
Oh, I need to read it. I don't have.
Oh, you haven't read it?
No,
okay, it's really nice. So recommendation also for you. So if you want to dive more into something like archetypes, it's very, very deep psychology stuff. But if you feel it, then this book is a recommendation from me. Maybe you also have a recommendation to start with.
Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung is a great one to do.
That's a good recommendation for me now.
And if you want to go really deep, there is a book called The History and Origin of Consciousness by Eric Newman.
Okay, awesome.
And it's also available. It's written in German. So like if you're German, great for you. If you can read German, if you can understand German, I read it in English.
Yeah.
But it's a very complex book, and at the same time, it mind-blowing.
Awesome. That's very cool, because it's something, maybe you hear something in our conversation and you're like, what the heck are they talking about? It's so deep, I don't really get it. Don't worry, that's kind of normal. We want to challenge you, of course, also a little bit. And if you have any further questions, of course, as always, like let me know, or let Ari know on his Instagram page. We will also put it down here. But don't worry, we are not done here. We can go on a little bit more and explain you a little bit more about all of that. So maybe let's go on with a quote from the guy we met each other, Tony Robbins. So, and he said like success is a science and fulfillment is an art. So and what I go through also with my clients a lot is to kind of like balance both of them. Big high performance people who really want to achieve stuff, but also sometimes look on the left and the right of the path and enjoy it, and not only go there like that. What I also did for a long time, until I realized, it's also nice to look sometimes left and right, but then focus again. So, how do you see that? Also for yourself, maybe. How do you approach it to be happy and fulfilled? And also maybe some advice for the people outside there, especially for the men.
Okay, so that's a big question. When I'm thinking about this quote that you mentioned, success is a science and fulfillment is an art, I think about how many people are very successful financially and are miserable in life. And for me, I think that the art part of the quote is that within yourself, you have to find your own way. You have to find your own colors of how the picture looks like. Because every person has a different way into the self. Every person has a different way into kind of like this state of compensation between, in the Jungian psychology, they say the ego and the self. So, or like this part of you that analyzes you and judges you and doesn't like what they see, or look at memories and say, I shouldn't have done that, or looking at stuff that you did and like, I don't like that, or I like that. And there is like a way to do it. There is a way to do it, but there is not a science about it, because we're not machines. We're all different. And we've all been through different experiences, and we need to come in terms with those experiences that we've been through, compare it to the things that we want to go through in the future, and see how those interplay. So, for example, coming into terms with our traumas. So yeah, I've experienced this and this and this, and that was not okay, but I'm not going to let that drag me down. I'm not going to let that keep me from achieving what it is that I want to achieve in the future, right? Where a lot of people, they stay stuck in the past. They're like, this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me. And that gives me the right to be bitter and sad and an underachiever, and that gives me the right to yell at people and gives me the right to be a victim. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't give you the right to do that. And if you choose that way, sure, choose suffering. You know, Buddha said that pain is inevitable and suffering is an option. So you can choose to suffer. You can choose to do that. And by all means, do it. Go ahead. But getting to that point that you are reconciled with yourself so you can move forward is something that I think every person should get to if they want to live a nice and happy life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Life doesn't have to offer you something. You have to offer something to life, and then you're.
I love that.
Then you're into the right place. But yeah, it's for a lot of people, of course. Also, maybe for everybody, I don't know. But don't generalize. It's not so easy at sometimes to not suffer, because of course you get challenged with your perspective on life. Yeah. Like also, for example, religious people like really believe into their God or whatever, and then something happens in their life. And like, why? I thought like if I just believe and I just pray, it all comes out good. But then, for example, a close person dies and you question everything. But that's the point where the work starts, basically,
right.
to believe, to get back to your to really believe in the bigger in universe or God or whatever you want to tell it. 100%. To start the work on the believing, because like to extract it from people, from places, from achievements or whatever, and also from parts of your identity, and just start to believe the purity of life. And and that's sometimes, of course, difficult, but it's magical.
That is so true. Like when there is something that happens to you that is really painful, there is two ways to ask, why is this happening to you, right? There's one way to ask, why is this happening to me? It's always me. And there's a way to ask, hey, why is this happening right now? What is there to learn right now? And it's very difficult to ask that when you're in pain.
Exactly.
Right? And as it is very difficult to believe in your God when someone very important is taken away from you, because it's like, if God loves me, why would he give me this pain?
Yeah.
You know, I come from Israel. So there is this huge question of, if we are the chosen people as we believe, if we are, men of God, blah, 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 how could he allow the Nazis to kill 6 million of us? How could he do that? And a lot of people lost their belief in God during the Holocaust,
Yeah.
And other people, their belief in God was actually strengthened, because they believed that there was something there that we just do not understand. And this is the whole belief in God or the universe, to understand that there's something bigger than you, that knows better than you, and that you have to tune into that frequency. Like you said, you have to participate in life, right? Tuning into the frequency instead of trying to, be the frequency,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. And of course, it's practice. Of course, from my perspective, you said like a very good example, like with the asking why did this happen. Like there are always two ways of doing it, and to choose between them and actively choose the one that is actually the one who brings you up the spiral and then not down. It's a choice, and this choice, sometimes you make the wrong choice because you have not the strength or the power or the energy or you cannot really get it to do it, but then you try it the next time with another one, and it's like a skill you can learn, in my opinion.
And then if you learn it, you can't really have the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you did the wrong choice, the reason why you made the wrong choice was so you can make the right choice next time.
Yes, exactly.
And maybe it's like if we talk like. I always say, for guys who they say, this girl broke up with me, and she was the one, and she broke up with me, and I can't believe it, blah, 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 blah. Well, if she broke up with you, she wasn't the one, buddy. Like, if she broke up with you, she wasn't the one either because she was not the one, or because you did not have the right qualities at this moment of your life to contain the one. So even if she was the one, you couldn't handle the one. So you didn't deserve the one.
Yeah.
So this happens so you can learn, what the hell did I do that she dumped me because of? And then I can learn to, when I meet someone who will be the one, give that to her. And if I didn't have all of these experiences that someone dumped me, and or someone broke up with me that I wanted to be with, there's no way that I could have had a girl like Bea, like my fiance right now. No freaking way. So
yeah, I can really relate to that because I have kind of the same history with that. I always had relationships, like I always said between 3 months and 3 years, something like that, always. And then first of all, like, oh yeah, it's like feeling like how do you say that, butterflies in the stomach, and and the rosa glasses and whatever. But then at some points, always at some point, I was getting the feeling of, this is a different person than I met at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it continued, and at some point I figured out the only constant in that was me, of course, and not the woman. So I was like, wait, so what can I learn here now? And that's also, it was in the phase where I started to get into personal development deeper, and worked with a really good psychologist, worked with some coaches, and got into like, okay, first of all, what is it about that I always like have this gap, like first of all only see this magical woman, and then after a few months or few years like see a completely different parts of the person, and I don't really know who that is, and I have trouble with dealing with that. And the second, how did I choose women before? Like before it was like really like random, and like just running into someone and getting attracted and then trying to figure out a relationship. But at that point I learned, wait, first of all, maybe I should make a little profile of like, how could a woman on a deeper level like be good for me, like be a person who I see that your eyes are glowing, like, oh yeah, I like it. Like how has a woman, what kind of woman has it to be for me to match, and to not being like after a few years or months like, who is this? Like, of course you get to know yourself and your woman all the time again, but to meet someone who looks in the same direction as you, it has to have some stuff. And I said, okay, she has to be very open-minded. She has to really like be open for the world and like traveling. And what I also haven't experienced before was like, when we have a conflict, she has to be like me. I thought before, like she has to be like looking in the conflict to, we are together in this, and we have to handle the conflict, and don't like, oh no, we are bashing each other. What of course my girlfriends before did, and also I did. So when I met her, also my fiance right now, Christine, she was so into like, oh, let's figure it out and let's tackle the problem together. She was so good with that I really had to learn it a new way, because before I was always the one like, let's look at this and let's try to figure out. But then she came and I was like, oh, that shit worked on a really deep level, to like just putting it out into the universe, like 3, 4, 5 points, like basically on a deeper level with that a woman should be for me to have a match. And so
I love that you said that, because like, and I'll share with you some exercise that I did, and with all of your viewers as well, all of the listeners too. It works for guys and girls. It doesn't have to be only for guys. But what I would do is that I would make 2 lists. And every time I did that, I met a woman after 90 days. But hey, Kimchi. my cat name is Kimchi. I don't have kimchi on me. So the exercise was that I did 2 lists. One was everything that I want in a woman, everything, and I didn't spare no detail. How I want her to look, how I want her to act, everything, how I want her, what qualities I want her to have, everything, didn't spare any detail. And another list is everything that I don't want her to have, For example, I wrote that I want a woman who is, fit, who's healthy, who is taking care of herself, who's spiritual, who is a people person, who is a good communicator, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote that I don't want a woman who is manipulative, who has daddy issues, who is ugly, who is smoking, who doesn't care about her health, I wrote all of these things for me. And then I took the top 10 qualities that I want, and I put them in a small list and I put it in my wallet. And every day I would look at it and I would send it on to the universe saying, I'm ready to meet you. I'm ready to meet you. And every time after 90 days, I would meet a woman who is, I would meet probably more often than 90 days, but when I would meet someone who is like 8 or 10 more of these qualities, then I would, 8 out of 10 in that stance, then I would be like, okay, let's give it a shot and see what happens. And when I did that, I didn't just go blindly into it. I asked myself, okay, so these are her qualities, great. Now I want to ask, what are her values? And I want to see if this woman's values fit to my values, if my vision of the future fits to this woman's vision of the future. Because one of the worst things to do is to go into a relationship and be there for 2 years and spend the time and the energy and everything only to find out that you want kids and she doesn't want kids. And then it's like, what was I doing for 2 years now? So I was doing those things at the beginning, and every time that, the relationship didn't work, then I reprogrammed my list and kind of refined it. So for example, I met this woman who was 10 out of 10 on my list, but she wasn't single, so I had to add single.
True.
just to be sure, and then it's really funny. It just, what it does is that it hones you onto that frequency.
Exactly.
It makes it exactly the thing that you need, and you stay open and receptive to that. So in other words, you're working with the universe and creating your future. And then when I met my girlfriend, I showed her my list, and I actually had on my list, I had 10 items, and then I had 2 extra. Just, it would be nice. And she was all of them plus the 2.
Nice.
So that was really cool. And then when I asked her about her values and what she wants in life, and she told me, and I was like, okay, this is so far a very good match, know?
Yeah.
And I knew that I'm going to marry this girl, after 1 month of dating. I knew that this is the person. And she actually told me that after our first date, she knew it.
Yeah, awesome. So, but it's also a very good example. We are not talking a lot about relationship and stuff, but this is also a very good example. If you know where you want to go, then you can, of course, the way can be, you can go a little bit right or left of the path, but you know the direction you want to go, and you can apply that to everything else in your life. If you don't know where you want to be in 1 year or in 5 years or in 10 years, you just in the flipper, you're just the ball who's just flipping around. And it's the same with dating or with relationships. If you don't know what you want and where you want to go, and to know what you want, you have to find it out. Also, of course, by making mistakes and learning from it and stuff like that. So that's awesome. One thing I want to add was when I had my small list, I was also finding out that, immediately on the first date, I asked completely different questions.
Sure. Yes.
Completely. It was so quick, so much deeper into the conversation, rather than after a few dates, only a little bit on the surface and not really wanting to go too deep, but maybe a little bit. But then I was how do you tackle conflicts? How do you do that? Or whatever. What is your plan for the next 3 years? Where do you want to be? Or that kind of stuff. And then you completely, in the first meeting or date, you immediately know, okay, this could be something, or oh no, it's fine, but we don't go on from here. And you also you save a lot of energy also with that. Sure,
a lot of energy, and actually a lot of money too.
Yeah, true.
Dating is an expensive experience, especially for guys. I say for guys, hey, if you invite a girl out, you pay. Not because men need to pay, but because you invited someone to come along with you.
Yeah.
So pay, and first dates they could be expensive. And if you take 3 girls out a week, that's a lot of money. Yeah. So better at least take girls who are, who at least make it an investment, make it a good investment about yourself, and take people who you want to invite out and people who you are interested in, and not just a woman who looks nice,
Absolutely, absolutely. This is also a little well, not a little, maybe a big mistake people do. So that's one topic before we come to the last very short questions. I want to dive in with you for the next 4 or 5 minutes is maybe some that you will talk about some common mistakes you see for men, maybe in dating, but also in relationships. And also getting the bridge a little bit to the beginning where we spoke about where does this all come from, that we have to also some issues as men, feeling a little bit lost sometimes. So what are maybe some 2 or 3 mistakes or things that we do and don't know what we do that are not good, and how can we change that?
If we had to pick 3, there are a lot. But well, the first thing that I would say is I'll give 3 examples from 3 different stages of a relationship. So let's say there's single, there's dating, and there's in a relationship.
That's cool. That's right. Cool. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So when you're single, a lot of guys, when they approach a woman, they don't know how to read her body language to understand if she's even attracted to them or not. And what most guys do is that they either project their level of attraction to a woman or they simply don't approach. And then what pickup artists do is that they tell them, use cold readings, do this, say a compliment, do this, do this, do this. And then guys do that like robots, and they don't understand that they're communicating with someone who is emotional by nature, and they want to feel an emotional experience by connecting with you. So as a single person, when you're approaching a woman, it doesn't really matter what you say or what technique you use, but look at the other person and see what their vibes are. Is she interested in you? I mean, I can give you 10,000 ways to read a woman's body language, right? If she's facing you, if she's playing with her hair, how is her eyes? Is she looking at you? Is she looking at her phone? Is she talking to her friend? There's 10,000 languages, signs, but you can see, you can sense it, and play with that energy, right? So when you're coming to a woman, it's like, hey, how you doing? She will look at you. She'll either say, I'm okay, how are you? Or she'll say, fine, And if she says, fine, hey, are you angry with me? Did I do something to you? It's like just trying to understand what's going on. So this is like when they're single. So they're not and they don't try to understand the person that is in front of them, but instead what they're doing is that they're working in this kind of like, they're running a monologue, or they're trying to convince them, hey, let me tell you why I'm a good person to date. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. They don't care about that. They don't care. They want to feel. So make a woman feel. Awesome. And then, so let's say, and when we're dating, what a lot of guys do when dating is that they don't give a woman space to chase them. Feminine and masculine energy demands that the woman chases a little bit. She has to chase in order to get interested. And what a lot of guys do is that they they blast a woman's phone with text, with reels, with memes. If she doesn't answer for 2 days, they freak out. They're like trying to secure the next date, without giving space for the woman to breathe and process the emotional experience that she had. And then usually in the dating process, and I have a course, by the way, I have a free course about dating that is Mastering Dating in 5 Days. It's a really good potent course, and if you want, you can just hop onto my Instagram and grab it. It's for free. And I talk about a lot about how when you set the date, when you had a date, when you whatever, in between the dates, you want to just relax and let the woman process what happened. And there will be this natural process with her that she is processing that in her mind. She talks about it with her friends, and she talks about it with her mom, and she talks about it with all of her gay male friends or whatever. And then at some point she reaches a certain conclusion and she reaches out, or she doesn't reach out. But at any point you need to give her the space to breathe and not chase, because the minute that you chase, then you are presenting the feminine to her. And as a woman who's feminine, if she gets feminine signals from the man, she will automatically kind of back away. And finally, in relationships, I think the biggest mistake that men do is that they don't open up enough because they think they need to be strong and tough. And they think that, let's say that they vibe in completely different frequencies. A man connects logically and a woman connects emotionally. So actually, let's take another example. Let's say that your woman comes to you and she's upset and she shares stuff with you. Usually what a man who's very logical, what he would do is he would think, okay, she has a problem. Here's the solution. You know, like, oh, I'm coming to the office and I don't feel welcome. Oh, so just ask the people, what's wrong? Oh, but I don't want to. Oh, but like you can. So why are you moping here if you don't want to do something about it, you know? So this is like a
very good example.
Yeah, it's a very logical way to see it. But actually what happens, a woman is thinking emotionally and not logically. So what she's doing when she's coming to a man with a problem, she's actually looking to connect with the man. She's not looking for a solution, she's looking for a connection. So she wants her man to understand her and feel her and be there for her. She will find the solution eventually because she can also think. She will find the solution. If she wants the solution from the guy, she would ask, what do you think I should do? But if he doesn't want it, she just wants an emotional experience. And when a man ignores this emotional nature of the woman and just goes straight into the logic, he actually rejects her. And then a woman is feeling rejected. She doesn't even realize that she feels rejected, but she does. She feels rejected and she pulls away again because she doesn't see her man as a safe space.
Yeah. Awesome examples, awesome. And what I also really like about it is that the point which you had in the first one, when you said, okay, take a look, and also not only like ask a question, but also see what body language and all that stuff. You really have to be, and it's not only with dating with women, but also with people in general. If you are really into the conversation and you really look in the eyes like we do right now, and you are offering your attention really to the person. Yeah. And also a woman who, when you are dating or when you're also even in a relationship, like for example, what we do sometimes is we sit together on the floor and just looking each other in the eyes for 5 minutes, and then we start about talking what we are going through right now. Yeah. And you can connect on such a deep level just by offering your full attention to the other person.
100%. And this eye gazing thing that you mentioned, it is so powerful. It is so powerful. Like if you, I don't know if any of your viewers did it ever, but just find someone you know and just look into their eyes without talking for 1 minute. See what happens. It's one of the most intense experiences.
And you can do that in the mirror as well, by the way. It's also very intense.
I had a lot of mirror experiences.
It's crazy. Well. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is very, very crazy. It is very crazy. But when you look into someone else, you can really feel like they're staring into your soul.
Absolutely.
And it's not by chance that they say that the eyes are windows to the soul. Yeah. Because it totally is. Yeah. And a lot of people are very, very afraid of that, wanting to be seen. Yeah. And I think that the more you let yourself being seen in a relationship, and I'm not talking about 1 day or 3 days into the relationship and you start telling her about all your childhood traumas. I'm saying the more the relationship progresses, the more you allow yourself to be seen. Yeah. And the more you allow yourself to be seen, the more you allow yourself to be vulnerable, the more strong you will be perceived.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, we are very deep into it, and also giving some nice advices here out. So let's go on to the last part of the podcast. So first of all, what are your 3 game changer, because the podcast is called Game Changer, what are your 3 game changer tips for my community? Like 3 really short advices. Maybe some of the podcast now what we talked about, maybe something completely different. It's your choice. 3 things you want to give out as some advice to the people.
All right. So number 1 is that always take care of your body, because your body is your vessel for this life. So healthy diet, have a healthy diet, healthy exercise. You don't have to lift really, really heavy, just do stuff that is healthy for you, that makes you feel vital and energetic, and that makes you feel a little bit like shit at the end, but really, really good after. So like training hard and eating right, sleeping right, you wouldn't put trash into a temple. Yeah, you wouldn't take a garbage disposal and just like throw it in the middle of a temple, right? Because it's sacred. At the same time, you wouldn't put trash in your body. So take care of your body. The second thing is question everything, including yourself. Like always question, always go deep, and always think about growing, and don't shy away from pain, because pain is potential. So whenever you see pain, a lot of people, Tony Robbins again, you run away from pain more than you will run towards pleasure. But I made it a habit of myself to run towards pain a lot of time when I think. Not in a depressive way, but like when I see pain, I go, okay, what the fuck is this? Let's see, what's going on, you know? And I got to that point that I'm very, very brutally honest with myself, very brutally honest with myself. And that helps me have these tough conversations that a lot of people are really afraid of having with themselves and with other people, these really tough conversations. This is definitely the second one.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think the last one would be have tough conversations. Have tough conversations. Like whenever there's something that is aching you, if it's between yourself, your friends, your colleagues, your girlfriend, your boyfriend,
parents, also.
Parents, 100%. Have that tough conversation with the mindset of love, not with the mindset of I want to win, but with the mindset of I want to make this right. I want to clarify everything. I don't want any murky water under that bridge. I want everything to be just like, you know, on the surface, and I want to be super clear with everything, because there is this, I don't remember where I heard it, but it was something about undercover pacts and known and like overcover pacts. Like let's say that you and I make a pact that I don't know, that I work for you and you pay me this and this much, whatever. So we make this pact, we shake hands on it, we have a contract. But inside, you weren't happy with what we decided. You think you overpay me, you know? So we have this undercover pact between us that I make a certain amount of money and you're not happy with what you're paying me. And then this builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up. And because we didn't put it on the table at the beginning, it became like this giant mountain of shit.
Exactly.
Right? And this happens a lot in relationships, a lot. Like someone does something that you don't like and it's like, I'm not gonna tell them. I'm just gonna sit and take it. And then after 10 years, like, something really violent happens, or a sudden divorce or a sudden breakup, and you're left scratching your head like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
But it's because of these undercover pacts. So just make it a habit to look where this inconvenience is and just rush into this conversation like a bull.
Awesome. Cool that you have also this example, because sometimes also, like you said, for example, in business, then you have a contract and this and that. And of course, then to have this conversation in our society is like, oh, we have a handshake, or we have this, or we have that. You cannot change it or whatever. I don't know the English term right now, but to break, to break some, to break the contract, or to break what you
break the trust.
Yeah, break the trust.
Yeah.
But if you're really honest to yourself and also to the other person, it definitely feels better. And if you put that on top of it, there's always a way of finding solutions to it.
100%. 100%.
Awesome, Ari. I could talk with you for hours longer. Absolutely. And it was, for me, I got a lot of positive energy out of the conversation. I got a lot of nice insights also from you, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.
And I really have a even stronger feeling right now than before of you, that you're a person is very strong internally, and also like facing what you said, the inner. If you face your for example, you said like the pain, and if you face the stuff inside yourself, you are not only strong physically, you're also strong, very mentally strong, and also to approach your emotions, you have to be very strong internally. And so yeah, it was awesome to talk with you about it. And yeah, let's see what people say to it. Like, thanks for watching, thanks for being with us. And if you have any questions, as said before, reach out to me, reach out to Ari. We will put some nice links down below, also to your free course. And yeah, so the last words are with you. Something else you want to share, or just say hi?
Yeah, if you want to know more, if you want to connect with me, as I said, I'm very, very receptive on social media, specifically Instagram. You can check out my website, strengthinrelationships.com. And yeah, and that's it basically. I'm really, really happy to have you and meet you here in Berlin. And I really hope to have more conversations like that again.
Absolutely.
And maybe we do a double date.
Yeah, that's true. Now we are both engaged, so.
Yes, sir. Married men. So.
Exactly. All right. So thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
It was a pleasure.
Definitely.
And, yeah. Bye-bye.
Ciao.